Hello and welcome back to the program. Joining us at the desk, editor and publisher of Media Week, James Manning is here to talk all things media. And look, of course, the big news today, James, the election officially being called for the 18th of May. Look, from a media perspective, be it advertisers, the broadcasters themselves, federal elections, what do they mean, if anything?
Well, I think different things. If you're working in ad sales, you probably want to see the election out of the way because a lot of people think there's too much clutter, too much going on, and they want to be. They'll start advertising maybe after the election, right? Because there's a focus over the next 4 or 5 weeks now. It's all on the election. For some people, though, it means bigger audiences. People like in digital media. The data out today, news.com.au again, was up over 10 million people, 10.6, their biggest audience ever. They're going to do some big numbers across the election. Newspapers, radio, generates people really turn to the media for information during the campaign.
Over the whole campaign trail, so that whole sort of 5 weeks.
I think so, yeah. And just, it helps them decide who they're going to vote for,
All right, we'll watch this space and we'll no doubt get updates from you along the way, James.
Sure,
want to talk about Group M, though, introducing its addressable TV initiative, Finecast Australia, at the end of 2018. And so far, it's run more than 60 addressable TV campaigns for more than 25 clients.
Finecast has partnered with broadcasters 7, 9, 10, SBN and Foxtel via MCN. And to explain what addressable TV is and how it works, Finecast Managing Director Brett Poole joins us in studio. Brett, thanks very much for your time.
Pleasure to be here.
Look, just to start with, just explain it. Addressable TV, what is it?
So addressable TV is a change we're seeing in TV where you can deliver a different message to different homes, unusually unlike what you can do with broadcast TV. So usually when you watch broadcast TV, everybody sees the same ad at the same time. So what addressable TV does means that you can deliver a different ad to a different household. For example, if 2 neighbours are next to each other, one can see a pet food ad, and next door, who doesn't have any pets but have children, or a baby, for example, might see a baby formula, for example. So it's a huge advancement in television advertising, which has been really used for reach purposes. Now you can start segmenting audiences in different ways.
How does it work? What actually makes it possible?
So one of the big changes we've seen in TV at the moment is the adoption of, or the purchase of smart TVs. And with smart TVs, we get data. And applying data to TV campaigns means that we know more about who's watching it. And the broadcasters have invested a lot of money to develop catch-up apps, or what they call OTT apps, or over-the-top apps, which allows us to have that data transfer when buying television. So that when we know that when you're logged into your favourite broadcast app, we know where you are or who you are, because the broadcasters know this when you log in, and we're able to sort of more smartly deliver that ad.
Can you do it while I'm watching live TV? Yeah. And if not, what percentage of viewing can you use for addressable TV? Do you know?
The answer is yes on the live streaming. So, and that was probably more difficult for the broadcasters to enable because it's much more difficult to technically. But most of the broadcasters have that live. And
but you need to be streaming it live
through an ISP
on an app as opposed to broadcast.
Yeah, through an app. So live streaming is what we support today, which is probably the most like television that you could possibly get. So you're thinking large, sport is a good example. So when everyone wants to live stream sport, that's when you get a huge amount of audience watching at the same time, which is the promise of TV, by the way. There's no other way to get such huge audiences better than TV. Live streaming delivers the same thing.
How many people are watching TV this way, and is it, I guess, a big opportunity then for advertisers?
Yeah, so it's not as big, obviously, as broadcast TV. Broadcast TV is still the biggest and best for reach buyers. However, OzTAM, which is the panel that measures TV, can detect about 12 million. I think their latest stats are about 12 million devices per month, which is still a big reach opportunity. And the more content and the more great experiences that they unlock, the more that TV is starting to fragment. If you think of time-poor people who just have time to catch up and don't watch, you're getting them again. Now. So, people say that TV is in decline. It's only the measurement that's in decline. Actually, it's never been better. I think TV has never been better than it has been today. So it's just not measured in the same way, and people are choosing to watch it at various parts of the day now.
What does it mean for from an advertiser perspective, particularly in what they're going to have to potentially pay. I mean, if it's potentially a smaller audience but a far more targeted audience, do they offset each other, or would they be willing to pay more because they're getting to the right type of people as opposed to a broader spectrum of people?
Yeah, I mean, the base price will always be more because it is more targeted. So the more targeted you get generally in life, the more expensive it gets. But when you work the efficiency of the buy back, it's always better than broad sort of reach campaigns that hit. If you're thinking of buying Sydney, for example, and you're selling luxury watches, it's just not going to work out the same efficiency as if you were just super targeted on more affluent areas, for example, of Sydney.
Brett, you're part of Group M, and this is offered to its clients through the various agencies that form the group.
Yep.
Is there any risk, if this works so well, that people might spend less on their advertising, or alternatively, could they spend more because it works better than what they're spending?
I've never met a marketer who didn't spend more when something worked, I don't think. So if it works...
So the upside is there, right?
Yeah, so if you're seeing benefits from this style of advertising, then, it will get more spend diverted to it on media plans.
Are we already seeing it sort of change the way that brands plan their advertising campaign? I mean, is that what you're expecting?
Yeah, well, it's a great question because we've been planning TV the same, for decades.
Yeah.
It is a challenge to actually look at how you plan TV these days, because every part of the delivery of TV now has changed, from planning to how we activate an ad, to how interesting we can make the creative, to how we measure it. So we're changing every part of a TV planner's life. So the answer is yes, it does change the world. But that's a good thing. I mean, as TV changes, we all need to change and move with it.
Is the onus on the broadcasters, because the advertiser will access the database they have of their audience, so they need to be pretty good with their data, right? Because the better their database, the more people will go to them. Is there a level playing field, or are some a little bit further ahead than others?
Well, I love all the broadcasters equally, so I would never say one's more...
Well, don't identify them, but are some more invested maybe than others?
Well, it's different, I'd say. Some, they all have benefits and they've all taken a different strategy, which is good. They've all invested in the changing nature of TV and those experiences, and that's why Australia was a great market for Finecast to launch in. Because if it wasn't for the broadcasters creating these experiences, all of them equally, really, we wouldn't have had the sort of playing field that we have with Finecast. But I'm not sort of walking away from the question, but it is different. Some have gone heavily into forcing people to log in so they get that data. Others have decided not to force a login and gain data in other ways to make it easier to sort of connect to the TV. All very fine strategies to go for. They're all different, but all equally kind of useful for us.
Has there been any sort of consideration to the end viewer and whether or not they're necessarily going to like being pigeonholed and curated in terms of what they are going to be seeing, as opposed to a broader spectrum? I appreciate it's advertisements, but now that there might be something that you don't know they'd be interested in, despite the data that they might be, but they're never actually going to see, and instead they're being pushed stuff that somebody else thinks they want to see.
Let me unpack that for a sec. I think what you're getting at is it going to feel like a different TV experience in terms of advertising?
Will it creep them out a bit too?
A little bit. I mean, you have the issues around Facebook and the curated news feeds that you're essentially shown that become almost an echo chamber of your own opinion and your own thoughts, as opposed to a broader, unfiltered feed of news and thought.
I must say it's not about certainly not about the content. So
no, I know it's the advertisements on it.
But the advertisement, we would hope, part of our mission is to make it better, make ads better. I mean, people say they hate ads, but I would say that they just hate bad ads that are not relevant. So our mission is to help the broadcasters make TV better by trying to serve better ads that work for advertisers, the user, and obviously the broadcaster if we can get some more money.
I mean, how quick can you pick up stuff? I mean, if I go on, I'm depressed at work and I click, I would rather be in Thailand, then I'm followed by ads for for holidays in Thailand for a few days
Oh, yeah.
on my web browsing. Can you do that on TV eventually?
Actually, it's a good question because the way we plan is actually not around sort of those digital sort of messages or data. We're really looking at just improving current TV buying, which currently you buy either regional or metro. If we can get down to smaller segments to that, either a set of postcodes and things like that, it's household data, not sort of personal data. So we still see TV as a shared viewing environment. I don't know if you're familiar with sort of digital activations like retargeting, if you see those same ads on your browser all the time. It's unwise really to do that on TV because you're not sure who's watching the ad, or if I did use that, if you were living with someone else, I might accidentally show that Thailand ad to the wrong person. So it's much better to form or create a segment to target on TV around household makeup, for example, and then deliver that into the living room.
And I'm just interested too, in your forecast about how viewing habits will change, do you think that on-demand will grow and become more significant than live almost? Or are we in uncharted waters?
Yeah, there's certainly on-demand. We're seeing on-demand or catch-up is a term that gets used quite a lot for this sort of segment of viewing. But we sort of see definitely people catching up on things that they missed on broadcast. We see definitely live streaming events, but we're also seeing catalogue. So the broadcasts are putting way more catalogue, so it's not catching up on anything. You're actually just streaming content that's there. So there's actually 3 different types that we've seen already. Who knows what's coming next? But globally, Group M I think has forecasted up to about half of viewing could be addressable in some way. So kind of on equal footing at some point with broadcast TV.
All right, we have to leave it there. Brett Poole, Finecast Managing Director, appreciate your time on the show. Thank you
very much.
Time now to switch to the all-important ratings. We'll kick off with the ratings for free-to-air and the Juggernaut, which is this the last week that'll be captured, or is next week?
No, because this is last week.
Right?
We'll see the last
huge,
episodes.
There were huge numbers, weren't there? Like over 2 million or something.
Yeah, look, spoiler alert, but yeah, it was it's the most watched show of the year.
I don't think that's a surprise though.
Nearly 3 million national, just under 2.
What else gets there? I mean, the State of Origin and AFL.
State of Origin, AFL
is that
Grand
the kind of
Final,
level we're talking about?
NRL Grand
AFL
Final.
Grand Final numbers for Married at First Sight Grand semi-final.
Yeah,
Arguably say.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's you got one. Where do they go next year? Do they?
Well, yeah, that's
do
right.
They need to
I feel
top
like
it
they've
again?
used a lot of drama on this series. I'm not sure
But
how
I
much
thought
more
that
drama
last
they can
series,
bring.
I thought that last season as well. I mean, you've been doing this a long time, James. Have you? I mean, this is extraordinary numbers. Can this be sustainable? I mean, MKR though did really well for a long time.
MKR nearly had a decade at the top. I think this could go.
How long has this one been going on the top?
6
for?
years.
6 seasons. But I think they did 2 in 1 year, so it's 5 years with 6 seasons. But I think the show's at a level now, they probably don't need to push it even further next year. They could, well, I won't say cruise because it's a lot of hard work, but they could just go along, probably in territory where they're in now.
There's talks of spin-offs. I've been hearing rumours of spin-offs from...
Jess and Dan are going to
I
get their own
don't
show.
know, we'll see. Some
Who's your
island,
source?
some like honeymoon
Who's your
island or
source,
something.
I think that's Bachelor Island. It's your favourite show.
No, that's not, don't even go there, but I'm sure it will creep into the ratings at some point, won't it, James? But let's move on. Subscription television now, and a lot of sport, as always, NRL and AFL topping the top 2.
Yeah, look, Gogglebox, we're nearly at the end of this season of Gogglebox, selling houses, and the Supercars still does great business for Fox Sports as well as their football.
Are those
codes.
new episodes of Selling Houses Australia?
Yes, they are. Yep, new season. Just started a couple of weeks ago.
Fantastic. All right.
On demand, and you could probably get some of our guests' ads if you watch it on demand.
James, we've got to leave it there. Thank you as always.
Thank you.
James Manning there, editor and publisher of Media Week.